Queen Elizabeth has spoken about her personal grief over the death of her husband, Prince Philip, in April. In her Christmas message, she said there was one familiar laugh missing amid the continuing impact of the coronavirus pandemic. A 19-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of trespass in Windsor Castle's grounds. The official residence of Queen Elizabeth, members of the royal family, have been informed. In his Christmas message, Pope Francis highlighted the tragedies in Yemen and Syria, which he said are being passed over in silence.
And liftoff.
The world's most powerful telescope has blasted into space, soon to offer unprecedented images of the universe. And Christmas Day booster jabs in England. Thousands of people are expected to be vaccinated as the race to fight the surging Omicron variant continues. Tributes have been paid to the former England and Yorkshire cricket captain Ray Illingworth. His death was announced today at the age of 89.
Relatives of Japanese people abducted by North Korea spoke to reporters following the death of the group's leader. They urged the government to take immediate and concrete steps to have their loved ones returned. The former head of the group, Iizuka Shigeo, passed away earlier this month. He was the brother of abductee Taguchi Yaeko. He campaigned for years to get her and the other abductees returned. Yaeko's son spoke about his feelings on Saturday. After her abduction, Iizuka Koichiro was raised by her brother Shigeo. He said he feels immense gratitude.
My father, Shigeo, never got to see his sister Yaeko again. It is a regret I'll have to live with for the rest of my life.
Koichiro also touched on the fact that two other close relatives of abductees have died since last year.
I cannot accept the fact that more family members will not be able to reunite with their loved ones.
One of the recently deceased was Yokota Shigeru, father of abductee Yokota Megumi. Her brother, Yokota Takuya, has become head of the abductee action group since Shigeo's death.
I must ask the Japanese government again, how many more times will we have to shed tears of sadness, regret, and misery?
Yokota urged the Japanese government to work toward a Japan-North Korea summit with the goal of achieving a breakthrough. The government says at least 17 citizens were abducted by North Korea in the 1970s and 80s. 5 returned in 2002, but the other 12 are still unaccounted for. And turning to the coronavirus situation here in Japan, officials in Tokyo have begun offering free tests to residents after the first community transmission of the Omicron variant was confirmed in the capital on Friday. The campaign has gotten underway at 12 private testing sites. Residents can get examined even though they may not be showing any symptoms. Starting Monday, officials plan to conduct 30,000 tests a day at around 180 locations, including drugstores.
It's so helpful to get tested before I return to my hometown on holiday.
I don't want to spread the infection accidentally, so it's good to get the free test.
Officials around the country have become more vigilant as community transmission of the Omicron variant has been reported in other major cities, including Kyoto and Osaka. Authorities across Japan confirmed 322 new coronavirus infections on Saturday. The total number of Omicron cases has surpassed 230. The United States has decided to lift the travel ban on 8 southern African countries imposed over concerns about the Omicron coronavirus variant. White House Assistant Press Secretary Kevin Munoz tweeted on Friday that the travel restrictions will be lifted on December 31st. Munoz wrote that the restrictions had given the administration time to understand the Omicron strain and realize the existing vaccines are effective against the variant. The U.S. imposed the ban on visitors from South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and 5 other countries in November. The latest measure comes as most daily cases in the U.S. are now of the Omicron variant, and the travel ban is no longer seen as being necessary. COVID-19 infections continue to rise in the U.S., with the weekly average of new daily cases topping 170,000. The Biden administration says it will try to curb the number through vaccinations and testing, and without imposing severe restrictions. Daily coronavirus cases in Britain continue to soar. UK health authorities say the count on Friday topped 122,000, and that's a record for a third consecutive day. The tally for the Omicron variant has also reached a new high of more than 23,000. That brings the Omicron total so far to over 114,000. 29 people in England infected with the variant had died by Thursday. The number of hospitalizations has also gradually been rising. The expanding caseload is raising concerns as people continue with their Christmas travel plans. The government is speeding up its rollout of boosters, and some vaccination venues will remain open through the holidays. About 56% of Britain's population aged 12 and older has received a booster shot so far. Former Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev has stressed the importance of continued dialogue amid tensions between Russia and the United States over Ukraine. Russia's Interfax news agency carried a written interview with the 90-year-old Gorbachev on Friday, the day before the 30th anniversary of the fall of the Soviet Union. The world's first socialist country maintained its one-party rule by the Communist Party from its foundation in 1922. Gorbachev resigned as president of the USSR on December 25, 1991, ending its 69-year history. Gorbachev said in the interview that without his relations with Western leaders, the Cold War, the arms race, and regional conflicts could not have ended. He said the end of the Soviet Union should not be blamed on his policy of perestroika or restructuring. He stressed that it allowed people many rights and freedoms. Gorbachev also referred to the current international situation. He said serious talks on nuclear weapons and European security have finally begun. He added that it is necessary to expand the agenda and continue dialogue, even in difficult times. People in parts of western and northern Japan are being advised to prepare for a blast of winter on Sunday. Weather officials say a severe cold air mass is expected to move along the Japan seaside of the country over the weekend, bringing strong winds and heavy snow. Officials at Japan's meteorological agency say the influx of cold air will be severe and hasn't been seen in several years. Officials say the seasonal weather pattern is already bringing snow to the northern areas, including Hokkaido, and winds are picking up along the coast. Up to 90 centimeters of snow is expected to fall in the 24 hours through Sunday evening. The cold air is expected to extend south on Sunday to the Pacific coast of western Japan. People are urged to be on the alert for snow accumulation even in low-lying areas. Gusty winds are forecast over a wide area and could reach up to 90 kilometers per hour through Sunday. People in northern Japan are advised to brace themselves for blizzards. The weather agency warns that traffic could be disrupted because of strong winds and avalanches. Blackouts are also possible if power lines break under the weight of the snow. Police in Japan's southern prefecture of Okinawa have arrested a U.S. service member for alleged drunk driving. The arrest came after local authorities called for restrictions on outings from the military base where the service member is posted to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. Police say the 24-year-old corporal is based at the U.S. Marine Corps' Camp Hansen. He allegedly drove a scooter in Naha City while under the influence of alcohol. Police say his alcohol level was more than double the legal limit. The corporal reportedly said he did not think the alcohol level in his body was high enough to get him arrested. Camp Hansen has recently seen a cluster of coronavirus infections with more than 200 people testing positive. Japanese workers and others at the base have been confirmed to be infected with the Omicron variant. Authorities in Okinawa have asked the Japanese and U.S. governments to ban outings of all service members and civilians from the base. And before we go, you may have caught a glimpse of Santa Claus in recent days, but have you ever seen so many Santas skiing all at once? This was a scene on Christmas Day at a ski resort in Tochigi Prefecture, north of Tokyo. Dozens of people dressed as Santa or his reindeer got together at the resort in the town of Nasu. The resort's operator offered free access to the lifts to anyone who came out in costume.
This will be a really good memory for my family.
I was so happy skiing together with my mom.
Merry Christmas!
Altogether, there were about 100 happy people out on the slope. And that wraps up this edition of NHK Newsline. I'm Ramin Melagard. On behalf of our team, thank you very much for joining us and have a safe and happy holidays.